territory, and passed along the information relay style to their counterparts who bore that information on to the next area. "You know the rest of the Shadows are probably wondering why we're not following up on the lead about the Witch Lord," Rett said. Ridge snorted. "If they've noticed, they're probably glad we're absent. I'm happy we don't have to worry about watching our backs from them as well as from the traitors. You know they'd figure we finally got demoted if they knew where Burke sent us." Ridge couldn't tell whether his partner sounded annoyed or amused. "Do you care? Burke thinks they've gone on a wild goose chase. You heard the case he laid out for us on this assignment. We've smacked the Witch Lord down twice now. He'd be smart to change tactics, and I've got to admit, attacking the Heralds is brilliant, in an awful sort of way." "Yeah. Well, if Burke is right and someone is ambushing the Heralds, there's no way anyone is going to miss us in these damned red outfits," Rett grumbled. Since the Heralds bore official news, they needed to attract attention. Their bright red jackets, black pants with a red stripe down the outside of the leg, and black riding horses guaranteed them to be noticed wherever they went. That was good for making proclamations, and bad for avoiding brigands, whose pattern of attacks seemed anything but random. "Look at the bright side. Since we're the professional assassins, whoever they hired to kill the Heralds shouldn't be much of a threat," Ridge replied. "Tell that to the 6 dead Heralds." Ridge was the older of the two and taller, with crow-black hair and piercing blue eyes. Rett was 2 years younger and a few inches shorter, with chestnut hair and brown eyes. They had met in the orphanage when Ridge had taken Rhett's side along a gang of tormentors, and together they had soundly whipped the bullies' asses. Ridge taught Rett to read and Rett taught Ridge to pick pockets. Except for the 2 years when Ridge had to go into the army ahead of Rett, they'd been inseparable. The glint of the sun on metal alerted Ridge just in time. "Down!" he warned Rett as he heard the twang of a bowstring, and 2 arrows fired in quick succession. Ridge slid to the side, keeping a grip on his saddle even as he put the body of his mount between himself and the archer, then dropped to the ground and rolled into the high grass on the other side of the road, with Rett just seconds behind him. Hand signals and long practice meant they worked in tandem silently, knowing each other's moves. Ridge went right, Rett went left, and headed into the brush on the other side of the road, from where the archer had fired his shot. Their spooked horses galloped down the road, then slowed and stopped, waiting. Whoever had fired on them had hiked in, because no parallel road was in view, and that meant he had either managed to vanish in minutes or he'd gone to ground close by and hoped to outlast their patience. Both assassins had drawn knives, easier to maneuver than swords with all the brush. Everything around them had gone quiet. Birds fled in the first flurry of movement, and no other travellers passed on the road. That left them and their quarry. Ridge signalled to Rett, who nodded in agreement. Rett would play the waiting game, alert should their would-be killer break from cover. Ridge would stalk the bowman, moving sure and silent. Ridge slipped through the brush, crouching to stay hidden. The land rose slightly, offering a hillock in a clearing full of low scrub and tall grass. It provided an excellent vantage point for the bowman, but a difficult escape route. That the bowman had chosen it for his strike, and had still missed, reinforced Ridge's suspicion that they were not facing a trained professional. Always make the shot, and always have a way out, he thought. All the money they offer to pay is no good if you aren't alive to spend it. He surveyed the area, looking for where the archer might have hidden. The same lack of trees that offered good visibility provided no chance to climb into high branches or shelter under washed-out roots. Where is he? Ridge doubted the bowman was a complete idiot. Surely the killer had found a hiding place when he scouted out the site. Even new recruits learned that. Unless the Witch Lord's people are training their own, not drawing from the army's cast-offs, or the archer was good enough to be cocksure, and it never occurred to him that he might not kill his targets. Ridge turned slowly, forcing himself to study the land.